Spring in the Cade's Cove at the
What?
Smoky Mountains National Park. What?
So this is beautiful. This car's coming.
We have now reached focal point number 1 at Cade's Cove, settling the cove. In 1820, this was frontier country newly acquired by the state of Tennessee from the Cherokee Indians. Families did not simply wander in and say to themselves, "My, how pretty, let's settle here." The land was owned by speculators who bought it from the state. Settlers bought it from the speculators whose intent was to make money. In this way, Cade's Cove became a typical cumulative community, a miscellaneous collection of people who were not oriented toward a common purpose as in the early religious settlements of New England. It grew without a fixed plan, and families chose land that was available and affordable whenever they arrived. Most of the people came from established communities in the upper East Tennessee, southwestern Virginia, and western North Carolina. Very few were fresh off the boat. Okay, now we're at focal point number 2, Sparks Lane. This north-south lane crosses the cove and was part of a family-to-family road system that evolved by the 1840s. It is a shortcut back to the campground or out of the cove. It is a two-way road.
The Allers bought land in the Cove in 1826, and this cabin site remained in the family until the park was established. The house is typical of many found on the eastern frontier in the mid-1850s, and reflects the skills and techniques brought into the mountains by descendants of British and European immigrants. The round logs were scored first along their length with a felling axe, then hewed with a broad axe and notched corners. The notched corners need no pegs or nails, as gravity locks them together. Chinks, open spaces between the logs, were filled with mud to seal out wind and rain. The stone chimney was laid in mud mortar. Windows and doors are typically small to conserve heat and maintain the strength of the building. Split wood shingles, the most common material used here, covered the roof. The materials to build this house are growing or lying all around you. Could you duplicate this shelter if need be? Privacy in the home was rare. Life centered in the main room. Children are welcomed. The more kids, the lighter the farm work. Older folk lived here too. A head count of 10 to 12 under one roof was not unusual. The home was a business, school, hospital, orphanage, nursing home, and poorhouse.
Primitive Baptist Church. Some of the earliest settlers organized this church in 1827, and a log building served their needs until 1887. During the Civil War, ill feelings and turmoil shut the church down, demonstrating that Cade's Cove was not immune to outside influences.
That's it.
Their own official correspondence from the period states, "We, the Primitive Baptist Church in Blount County and Cades Cove, do show the public why we have not kept up our church meeting. It was on account of the rebellion, and we as Union people and the rebels was too strong here in Cades Cove. Our preacher was obliged to leave sometimes. And thank God we once more can meet. In the cemetery lies Oliver's, Gregory's, Shields, Anthony's, and others who first populated the Cove." Hyatt Lane. This road crossed the Cove and joined the Cades Cove Road, Rich Mountain Road. It was a direct route out of the Cove from the south side for those going to Tuckaleechee and Maryville. Hyatt Lane is a two-way road and can be used as a shortcut back to the campground or out of the Cove.
Missionary Baptist Church. This church was formed in 1839 by members of the Primitive Baptist Church who were dismissed because they favored supporting missionary work. This was a national issue that concerned Baptists everywhere. During the Civil War, the church ceased to meet. but reopened after the war with a revised membership list. Confederate sympathizers were absent. The present building dates from 1894, when there were about 40 members. Enrollment eventually rose to 115. Dan Lawson Place. The best sources agree that Dan Lawson built this house around 1856 on the land he bought from his father-in-law, Tom Gerald. Peter Cable, I mean. The older man may have shared in the work, since he was known to have been a good carpenter. Lawson expanded the home from time to time and acquired additional properties. At one point, he owned a solid strip of land from the state line on the ridge behind the house, across the center of the cove to the top of the mountains in front. Some of the better blade work in the park is in this house. The inside faces of the logs were hewn smooth with an adze, and the ceiling joists were dressed and beaded with a plane. The chinks are battened inside with beveled poplar boards and filled outside with brick and clay. The brick chimney is unusual for the time and place. A hole was dug in the nearby clay bank and partially filled with water. The mixture was worked to proper consistency with a hoe or paddle, then placed into molds to dry. The bricks were then stacked and fired. After cooling, they were ready for use. These small outbuildings were the family pantry. The one closer to the house is the granary, and the other the smokehouse. The granaries were fairly rare, as not much wheat was grown here. Corn, a far more widely used crop, was stored in a corn crib, which is another kind of building. Meat was smoked and or salted to preserve it and stored in the smokehouse.
This is the last stop in the Caves Cove loop, and this is Carter Shields' cabin.